English words that have crept into the amount of Irish words that have crept into the English language is interesting. Some of you know words like galore, meaning plenty, is from the Irish. There's a town in Maryland, Baltimore. It's an Irish name, Ballia, T, Moor, Ballia town, Tea house, Moor, grand, or big, the town of the big house. Calvert, who became Lord Baltimore, decided to call the capital of Maryland, that he had lived in Montford in Ireland, in a town called Baltimore. There's another town in County Cork called Baltimore, where pirates came and raided in 1631. In June of that year, they took the inhabitants in the town and disappeared into the Maghreb, which would be Turkish Empire, North Africa. They disappeared, never to be heard of again. Sorry, there's no song to go with that. But I don't know what happened. It disappeared. Gone. That was it. If one of them came back now, there'd be a rake of songs about it. But I'll give you a great, for instance, you know, all the folk songs relating to saints and so forth, they always kind of take a peculiar view, they're by no means religious. For instance, I asked the school children who's the first who came to the United States from Europe, and they'd say, dutifully enough, Christopher Columbus. And a kid might suggest perhaps Eric the Viking, Eric the Red, came over here. And we Irish have a claim on it too. We suggest that Brendan the Navigator came over here. He was a monk in the 6th century. And to prove that at least it was possible, a man called Tim Severin, an Englishman, came to Ireland, made a boat using only materials available 1,500 years ago, and proved that the journey was indeed possible, but we still have no proof. These medieval manuscripts are kind of fantastic. They're not content with having making the journey, but it's got to stop and have a meal on a whale's back. And the whale introduced it, and it gets pretty amazing. For instance, when the Vikings came to Ireland in 847, they came and raided Dublin and left, and came back then 2 years later to stay for about 180 years. Brian Boru was the High King of Ireland. At the time there was 5 provinces in Ireland and 5 major kings, and they would elect a paramount king from among the 5 of them. Brian Boru, he was a very capable man. He suggested that Irish people adopt surnames 1,000 years ago. At the same time, Jewish people were adopting surnames for purposes of group identity and to display their loyalty to their local chieftains and so forth. So there's Brian Boru, and he manages to have all the chieftains of Ireland who were always squabbling among themselves. The internal divisions were rife, and he managed to get enough of them to join forces with him to expel, or at least beat the Vikings in a battle, which he did, a battle in 1014, the Battle of Clontarf. And there you have the Vikings with crazy names like Ragnar Hairy Breeches, Citric the Squinty, Citric Silkenbeard. And then there was another fella who strode through the battlefield. Brian was in his tent, at this time, typical medieval story, saying his prayers, thanking the Lord for the victory, never attending his toilet or anything like that. No, it's always his business. And Brodar the Mad, the gentleman from the Isle of Man, who doubtless had his lighter moments, strode into the tent with his sword and slew Brian Boru on the spot. This was all leading somewhere. I'm going to sing a song now. Oh yes, that's right. Brendan the Navigator. Yes. I have him discovering America. So I taught school for a year, and the children quickly caught on that I could be misled. And mind you, I had 54 children in the class, and they were actually very well behaved. This is going back into the late Paleolithic now. And, they were very well behaved, and they still had spirit. Some of them actually worked. These are 8 years of age, and the average is 7, 8, 8.5, 9 years of age. The grading system is different, so the class name didn't matter. But it was a public school. About a half a dozen or 8 of them had jobs delivering milk and eggs in the morning or delivering newspapers. And they'd be up before first light in the morning, out working and to help their families, to support their families. By 11 o'clock they'd be dozing in the classroom. And I knew enough to wake up and learn, so I let them sleep. They have a little corner to themselves, the working class. Back to the song here again, now there I'm off on a tangent. It's so easy. Brendan the Navigator. Boat sailed out of Brandon in the year of 501. 'Twas a damp and dirty morning, Brendan's voyage had begun. Tired of snagging turnips, cutting curly K, he came home from the creamery and he hoisted up his sails. He ploughed the lonely furrows to the north, south, east and west. Of all the navigators, sure Brendan was the best. When he ran out of candles, he was forced to make a stop. He tied up at Long Island, put America on the map. Did you know that Honolulu was found by a Kerry man? Went on to found Australia and China and Japan. When he was touching 70, he began to miss the crack, and turning to his albatross said he were heading back. Is it right or left to Gibraltar? What tack do I take for Mizenhead? I'd like to settle down near Ventry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross he said. To make it fast he bent the mast and built up mighty steam, past Terra del Fuego and up the Womble stream. He crossed the last horizon, Mount Brandon was in sight, and when he cleared the customs into Dingle for the night. First he went to Cordon Bleu, began to douse the drought, then he motored on to Kruger's to murder pints of stout. Along by Ballyferreter and over the Connors Pass, he freewheeled down to Brandon, sure the saint was home at last. Is it right or left to Gibraltar? What tack do I take from Mizenhead? I like to settle down near Ventry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross he said. Now the entire population came, the place was chock-a-block. But neither love nor money would get your nose inside the shop. Fishermen hauled up their nets, farmers left the hay. Sure the Kerry people know saints don't turn up every day. Everything is going grand till Brendan did announce the reason for return was he wanted to set up house. The girls were flabbergasted that Brendan had the neck to see a wife so late in life and him a total wreck. Is it right or left to Gibraltar? What tack do I take from Mizenhead? I'd like to settle down near Ventry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross he said. St. Brendan to his albatross he said.